The moment you stop begging for love, something changes. Not outside first, inside, and that is where everything begins. If he walked away, if he chose distance, if he is giving his attention to someone else right now, listen carefully. This is not the moment to run after him. This is the moment to return to yourself. Because the woman who keeps chasing gets ignored, but the woman who becomes whole again becomes impossible to forget. Let that sink in. You do not get your power back by sending one more message, one more long paragraph, one more emotional goodbye. You get it back by becoming calm, clear, and deeply rooted in your own worth. And here is the part most people never understand. The second you stop trying to force love, you become magnetic again. Not because of tricks, not because of games, but because real strength has a presence that people feel. So if your heart is hurting, stay with me. Do not click away, because what comes next may change the way you handle heartbreak forever. This is not about winning him back with drama. It is about becoming so strong, so steady, and so hard to shake that the one who left starts to feel the weight of your absence in ways your words never could. And by the end of this, you will not just know what to do, you will know who to become. When someone leaves, the first instinct is panic. Your mind races, your chest gets heavy. You want answers now. You want closure now. You want to fix it before the silence grows bigger. So you text, you explain, you replay the good memories as if emotion alone can bring someone back. But that reaction, as human as it is, usually creates the opposite result. The more you chase, the smaller you feel. The more you beg, the less you are seen. And every desperate move quietly tells the other person, I have forgotten my value. That is why emotional silence matters so much. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not losing. Silence is not pretending you do not care. Silence is control. Silence is breathing before you bleed out your dignity. When you stop talking into a space that gives you nothing back, you start hearing yourself again. And that is powerful. Because a person who was used to your constant presence notices your absence far more than your pleading. When your messages stop, when your energy pulls back, when your attention is no longer available on demand, a gap appears. Human nature notices gaps. It wonders about them. It tries to fill them. So before you reach for your phone again, pause. This next choice matters. One message can feed your pain. One moment of silence can begin your healing. And healing, not chasing, is what changes the story. A lot of people fear silence because they think silence means being forgotten, but the truth is often the opposite. Noise is easy to ignore. Desperation becomes background sound very quickly. Silence does something different. It creates contrast. It interrupts the pattern. If someone was used to your good morning texts, your fast replies, your emotional availability, and suddenly all of that disappears, the mind pays attention. It starts asking questions. Why is she quiet? Why is she no longer reacting? Is she moving on? Did I lose access to her for real? That kind of silence carries weight because it says, without saying a word, I am no longer standing where you left me. And that is the message that shifts energy. Not because you are playing a game, but because you are refusing to perform your pain for someone who chose distance. Think about that. You do not owe anyone a public breakdown. You do not need to prove your love by humiliating yourself. Sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is stop explaining. Stop arguing. Stop trying to be understood by someone committed to misunderstanding them. Stay with this part because it is important. Silence is not empty when it is filled with self-respect. Silence becomes powerful when, instead of staring at the screen waiting for a reply, you turn inward and begin building a life that does not collapse because one person stepped away. And yes, when you go silent, it will hurt at first. It may feel unnatural. You will want to check his page, ask mutual friends, post things you hope he notices, or leave little signs that say, I am still here. Do not do it. Every small act of reaching back reopens the wound. Every indirect post keeps you emotionally tied to the same door that already closed on you. Real no contact is not just about stopping messages. It is about stopping the secret ways you keep handing your energy away. No monitoring, no subtle updates, no posting for his attention, no emotional performance. That is where your power begins to return. Because when your focus stops circling around him, it finally has room to return to you. And once that happens, everything starts to change. Your face changes. Your posture changes. Your sleep improves, your decisions become cleaner, your mind gets quieter. You start remembering who you were before you made someone else the center of your emotional world. And that is when something almost shocking happens. The person who once felt like your whole world becomes just one chapter. A painful chapter, yes, but not the whole book. Keep listening, because this is where most people quit too early. They go silent for a day, maybe two, and then they break. But the real shift does not happen in a weekend. It happens when silence turns into transformation and transformation turns into presence. The moment you stop being predictable, you become impossible to place in the old frame. And that unsettles people. Not because they are evil, not because they all follow the same script, but because human beings get used to patterns. If you always answered, always waited, always gave more, then your availability became part of the emotional furniture. It was expected, and what is always expected is rarely valued deeply. But when that access is removed, attention changes. The familiar suddenly feels uncertain. That uncertainty creates tension, and tension creates thought. He may not even understand why you are on his mind, but he feels the difference. You are no longer easy to read. You are no longer standing there proving you care while he takes his time deciding how little effort to give back. Now the energy has changed. And this is where many women make a mistake. The second he peeks back in with a small message, a casual check-in, a weak excuse, they melt and return to the same dynamic. Do not rush. A little attention is not transformation. A breadcrumb is not commitment. Curiosity is not change. If he reappears, let his actions carry weight before your emotions do. Let him show consistency before you reopen your heart. This part is crucial. Never let a moment of loneliness make you accept a pattern that once broke you. The goal is not to be chosen for a second. The goal is to become someone who no longer accepts less than she deserves. There is also something powerful about emotional scarcity. And no, that does not mean coldness. It means value. People protect what they know is limited. They pay attention to what is not always available. Your time matters more when it is not endlessly offered. Your care matters more when it is not thrown at closed doors. When you used to answer instantly, when you rearranged your mood around his messages, when your heart waited on his attention, he could take that for granted. But when your energy becomes selective, when your focus has standards, when your peace matters more than instant access, your value rises naturally. Not because you are pretending to be distant, but because you are genuinely building a life that is no longer centered on one person's approval. That is the difference. Fake distance feels forced. Real growth feels grounded. And grounded people do not chase. They choose. They observe. They move with intention. So become harder to access, not by acting proud, but by becoming busy with your own becoming. Learn, train, rest, build, create, heal. Let your schedule, your habits, and your mind become full of things that matter. Then your emotional scarcity is no longer a tactic. It becomes a natural result of a life that has depth. And people feel that. They may not have the language for it, but they feel it. Stay here, because the next layer matters even more. Scarcity without inner growth is just silence. Scarcity with self-reconstruction becomes magnetism. This is why personal rebirth matters more than any strategy. If you go silent on the outside but remain shattered on the inside, eventually your old habits will pull you back. Real change is not cosmetic. It is not posting better photos while still crying over the same disrespect. It is not pretending to be over him while secretly building your day around whether he views your story. Real rebirth is deeper. It is the slow rebuilding of self-worth. It is learning to sit alone without begging life to give you a distraction. It is facing the parts of you that confused love with anxiety, attention with value, and pursuit with meaning. That inner work is not flashy, but it changes everything. You begin to notice your own patterns. Why did you stay too long? Why did you abandon yourself? Why did you treat small effort like something grand? Why did you ignore your own intuition just to keep someone from leaving? These questions are not there to shame you. They are there to free you. Because once you understand your old emotional habits, you stop repeating them blindly. You start becoming a woman who can love deeply without losing herself completely. And that is rare. That is powerful. That is unforgettable. Do not miss this. The true glow-up is not just body, clothes, or social media confidence. It is emotional clarity. It is becoming calm where you once became chaotic. It is choosing peace where you once chose panic. It is becoming so inwardly steady that anyone who meets you can feel you are no longer easy to shake. Use the pain. Do not worship it, but use it. Heartbreak can destroy a person, yes, but it can also wake them up in a way comfort never could. Pain reveals what was unstable. It exposes where you were overgiving, where you were unhealed, where you were living on emotional crumbs and calling it love. And if you are brave enough, that pain can become fuel. Not fuel to prove something to him. Fuel to build something inside yourself that cannot be stolen. Start with simple things. Fix your sleep. Move your body. Clean your space. Eat like your future matters. Read things that strengthen your mind. Learn a skill. Set one goal that has nothing to do with romance and chase it with full focus. These small acts look ordinary, but together they rebuild identity. They remind you that your life is bigger than your heartbreak. Day by day, the fog starts lifting. You laugh without forcing it. You go hours without checking your phone. You start making decisions from strength instead of fear. And then one day, almost quietly, you notice it. You are no longer waiting. You are living. That is the turn. That is the comeback. Not when he messages. Not when he regrets it. When you finally become more interested in your future than in his confusion. If this is hitting home, stay with me, because the next truth is one many people learn too late. Sometimes getting him back is not the win. Getting yourself back is. Keeping contact after a breakup often feels safer because it gives the illusion that the bond is still alive. A message here, a reaction there, a casual check-in. It feels like the door is still open, but in many cases that half contact only keeps you stuck. It lets him feel your presence without earning your trust. It gives him comfort without responsibility. It gives you hope without clarity, and hope without clarity can become a cage. As long as he knows you are still emotionally available, there is no urgency for him to reflect, no pressure for him to truly feel the loss, no reason for him to grow. He can drift. He can keep options. He can come and go. Meanwhile, your heart stays suspended between memory and possibility. That is exhausting. That is why complete emotional withdrawal can be so powerful. Not dramatic. Not cruel, just complete. No secret openings, no emotional side door, no constant access to your softness while he gives you uncertainty. When your presence fully leaves his daily emotional field, imagination starts doing what your words never could. He begins wondering, filling in blanks, replaying what you meant. And more importantly, you stop reopening your wounds every few days. That distance gives you space to become clear, space to see things as they are, not as you wish they were. And clarity is more valuable than temporary comfort. Read that again in your mind. Clarity is more valuable than temporary comfort. Because comfort can keep you chained to something that is no longer meant for you. There is a special kind of strength in becoming unavailable to what once had full access to you. It does not mean you are bitter. It means you are wiser now. You understand that love should not cost your dignity. You understand that being wanted only when you pull away is not the same as being cherished. You understand that real connection does not require you to disappear inside another person's needs. So if he reaches out later, and sometimes that does happen, you will not answer from old hunger. You will answer, if you answer at all, from a new standard. That is a completely different energy. The old version of you may have been ready to take anything that sounded like hope. The new version listens more carefully. She watches. She notices whether the effort is steady or shallow. She notices whether he is speaking from loneliness, ego, guilt, habit, or actual maturity. And if what comes back is weak, she no longer feels flattered by it. She feels informed by it. That is growth, because growth does not make you hard. It makes you clear. It does not make you cold. It makes you selective. It does not kill your softness. It protects it. And that is why the woman who truly heals becomes magnetic. She is not trying to impress anyone. She is simply no longer available for confusion, disrespect, or half-love. That kind of presence is powerful because it comes with peace, and peace is attractive in a world full of emotional chaos. Do not skip this truth. Peace is a standard, and standards change everything. As you rebuild, your life needs to become visibly fuller to you, not performatively fuller to others. This matters. Anyone can post a smile. Anyone can upload a quote. Anyone can create the image of moving on, but deep healing is quieter than that. It shows up in your habits, in your decisions, in how quickly you recover from triggers that used to destroy your whole day, in how you stop making everything about whether he sees, knows, or regrets. That shift is freedom. So build a routine that carries you. Wake up with purpose. Put your phone away earlier. Spend time with people who remind you who you are when you are not heartbroken. Go somewhere new. Try something that scares you a little. Let your life get bigger than the room where you were abandoned. This is how you become unreachable in the most honest way. Not because you are hiding, because you are expanding. And expansion changes your energy. It changes the way you walk into a room. It changes the way you speak. It changes what you tolerate. Suddenly, attention is no longer enough. Chemistry is no longer enough. Words are no longer enough. You start looking for alignment, respect, consistency, peace. And once your nervous system gets used to that kind of standard, chaos stops feeling romantic. It just feels tiring. That is when you know the rebirth is real. Keep going, because this next part may be the most freeing one of all. The day may come when he does think of you, miss you, or return. But by then, you may no longer need what once felt impossible to live without. And that is the hidden beauty in all this. If you do the inner work for real, there comes a point where his return stops being the prize. It becomes just information. Maybe he returns confused. Maybe he returns curious. Maybe he returns because the new person could not replace what your presence once gave him. Maybe he returns because he senses that you are no longer emotionally waiting in the same place. But if your growth is real, you will not collapse at the sound of his name. You will not mistake his attention for your healing. You will not hand back the power you fought to recover. Instead, you will see clearly. Does this connection deserve access to the woman you became through pain, discipline, and self-respect? Has anything truly changed? Is this a new beginning or just an old pattern wearing a fresh excuse? These are the questions that protect your future. Because the goal was never just to make him look back. The goal was to make sure that if he ever does, he no longer finds the same version of you waiting with open wounds and open arms. He finds a woman with standards, a woman with self-command, a woman who understands that love is beautiful, but self-abandonment is not. That is the real shift. Not will he come back, but if he does he even deserve a place in the life I built? That question alone can save you years of repeated pain. So if tonight you miss him, do not panic. Missing someone does not mean they belong in your future. It often means there is still a part of you healing from what was lost, what was hoped for, and what you gave that was never fully protected. Sit with that honestly. Ask yourself something deeper. Do I miss him? Or do I miss the version of me that believed this could still become what I needed? Do I miss his presence? Or do I miss the comfort of having somewhere to pour my love, even if it was not safe? Those are different questions, and the answers can change your life. Because once you stop romanticizing what hurt you, your vision clears. You stop calling inconsistency passion. You stop calling distance mystery. You stop calling emotional confusion love. And in that clarity, your power returns fast. Then silence no longer feels like punishment. It feels like protection. Growth no longer feels like revenge. It feels like restoration. And your future no longer depends on whether one person wakes up and sees your value. You see it. You carry it. You guard it. If he returns after all of this, fine. If he does not, fine. Either way, you are no longer broken by the outcome. That is freedom. Real freedom. The kind that cannot be taken by rejection, delay, or disappointment. And that is why this journey matters so much. It is not really about losing him. It is about never losing yourself like that again. So from this moment on, move differently. Do not beg. Do not explain yourself into exhaustion. Do not keep offering your heart in places that keep proving they cannot hold it well. Let your silence have dignity. Let your distance have purpose. Let your days become full of things that rebuild you piece by piece. Cry if you need to. Rest if you need to. But do not go backward. Do not confuse temporary loneliness with the need to reopen a door that taught you pain. The woman you are becoming needs your loyalty now. Protect her. Feed her. Invest in her. Speak to her kindly. Challenge her to rise. Because every day you choose yourself, even while hurting, you are writing a completely different ending. One where you are not the woman waiting to be picked, but the woman deciding what deserves access to her peace. one where your worth is no longer negotiated, one where your love becomes sacred because it is no longer given from emptiness, but from fullness. And fullness changes everything. It changes the way people meet you. It changes the kind of love you allow. It changes the story you tell yourself when life gets hard. So do not ask for another chance to be loved by someone who could not see you clearly. Build yourself so deeply, so honestly, and so powerfully that if anyone comes back, they return to a woman who is centered, awake, and free. And from that place, you will not chase love. You will choose it